Fight Mike here. Today we're going to be discussing the newest UFC fight announcements and any other MMA news that has happened over the last week. We've had a few things pop up here and there. Let's jump in with the first piece of news, which is a matchup between Neil Magny and Alessio Zaleski dos Santos. It was originally scheduled to be Neil Magny versus Gunnar Nelson as a prelim opener for UFC 318, but that has been cancelled as Gunnar has pulled out to a tear in his hamstring and a full thickness tear in the tendon within the muscle. So I'm guessing, I saw he'll be out for 8 weeks from all exercise, and then I'm guessing it'll be another 4 months before he's able to fight. So 6, 7, 8 months, I bet, before we see Gunnar back in the cage. And it's such a shame, because I thought this was going to be the start of Gunnar being active, because we've had an era of Gunnar fighting I think once every 2-3 years. So it was going to be nice to see him fight twice a year, but it's not happening. We're not going to get more activity out of Gunnar ever before he retires. So they've rescheduled this, put Neil Magny against Zaleski dos Santos in about 2 to 3 weeks on the 3rd of August in the Albazi versus Tyra card. This Neil Magny versus Zaleski dos Santos fight is literally the most typical Apex fight I have ever seen in my life. We got two full-on Apex warriors that'll be fighting against each other basically in front of their home crowd. I know Zaleski dos Santos is from Brazil, but really his home crowd is in the Apex. And we know Neil Magny is literally the crusader of the Apex. So I'm excited to see these guys fight against their home crowd. But honestly, matchup-wise, I would have preferred either of these guys get a surging contender in the welterweight division. Even if we got Neil Magny versus... Oh my gosh, I hate that I forget his name. The guy that versed Oban Elliott, Seong Hyun Ko. I would like to see Neil Magny versus Seong Hyun Ko more than I want to see this fight. So I think since this fight costs $500,000 to put together, make it worthwhile. Put them against these guys that it means something if they beat them. Whereas if either Magny or Dos Santos wins this, it's just whoever the loser is becomes washed as soon as that fight ends. So, put together Neil Magny versus Seong Hyun Ko, and we can see if he's a good up-and-coming contender. It just doesn't make much sense to put this fight together, but all good, don't care. Or even, don't put Jake Matthews and Chidi Njokuani against each other. Put Jake Matthews against Neil Magny, and then see Zaleski dos Santos. Actually, no, they've fought each other, but then do it the other way around. Jake Matthews versus Zaleski dos Santos, and Chidi Njokuani versus Neil Magny. I feel that's better matchmaking there, but I'm alright with it. I'm sure it'll be a decently fun fight. Moving on to the next fight that they've put together, we've got Raquel Pennington versus Norma Dumont. Can I just say before I talk about the matchup, the activity of these two fighters is literally pathetic. Norma Dumont destroyed Aldana in September last year. Didn't take much damage at all. Raquel Pennington lost a razor-close decision against Juliana Pena in October, taking very, very little damage. This fight could have been made for 314, 315, 316. It just makes no sense to make this so late in the year. They haven't fought for 12 months, and they took no damage, and they haven't fought for 12 months. What are we doing? What are we doing? Come on, fight. You get paid to fight. I get that Raquel Pennington just lost her title and she would have made $1 million or more at her last fight. But I don't care. Fight. Please. Come on. It's pathetic. We need to get these people fighting more than once a year. I get it. If you take a lot of damage, like a Justin Gaethje took against Holloway, take a year. I want you to take a year. But if you're not taking damage, fight twice a year minimum. It's just stalling out this division. The women's bantamweight division is not the most enjoyable division. It's the heavyweight division in the men's. So let's get it moving. Let's push something. Let's have some narratives going into fights. But when it's 12, 13 months since their last fight, it's no one even cares anymore. No one even remembers their last fight. So had to have a little rant about that. The fight will be fun, though. They're both pretty good on the feet. I would pick Norma Dumont as an early prediction. Moving on to the next fight, we've got Martin Budai versus multiple-time world champion Marcus Buchecha. This is actually kind of hype. I actually enjoy this type of fight. When they put Bautista versus Patchy Mix. This is a similar type fight. Martin Budai right now is the least exciting heavyweight, and he's just a glorified bloated middleweight coming up against an absolute savant in jiu-jitsu. I am kind of kidding. Buchecha, I'm not kidding about him being a savant in jiu-jitsu. He's actually incredible to watch in his jiu-jitsu. If you haven't seen him roll at all, watch him. It's actually such an entertaining jiu-jitsu grappler. But I could see Martin Budai just making Buchecha look terrible on the feet, just because Buchecha's already lost by decision. I didn't watch that fight, but it was against an absolute nobody with a terrible record, so I could see him getting fraud checked by Budai, and I actually would pick Budai to just blob himself through a decision. It's really sad. Budai is like 34 years old. He's a bloated middleweight, and he's now one of the best prospects in the heavyweight division. So let's hope Buchecha can just smoke him in the first round, because he is that level of grappler that if anyone that's not in the top 5 of the heavyweight division gets taken down by him, he will finish them in any way he wants on the ground. So hopefully he can beat the blob Budai. But moving on to the next fight, we've got Paul Craig versus Modestas Bukowskas. I always get his name really brutally wrong, so don't crucify me for that in the comments. But I'm pretty sad that we didn't get the rematch between Paul Craig and Bellato. I feel like that would have been like a quadrilogy waiting to happen between the two. But I got to say, in the Bellato fight, Craig actually looked a little bit improved. He was shooting takedowns. He wasn't shriveling up on the feet. He threw harder body kicks with more evil intent than usual. And I just think he was looking all right. But I think Modestas will get this fight. He's already looking to make his third fight this year, his third win, possibly. He had a good fight last time out against Kutalaba. I thought he lost that one, but he did look all right in the fight. But I think that he's probably going to take Paul Craig to a competitive decision where everyone's disappointed. But moving on to the next fight, this is actually really fun. We've got Asu Almabayev versus Jose Ochoa. Pardon me. I'm really excited for this fight, but I'm so pissed off with Jose Ochoa's coaching team for this. Like, why are we rushing him into fights like this? He fought in Atlanta maybe a month ago, 2 weeks ago, and he's taking a short notice fight against Asu Almabayev. Like, a ranked opponent. He's a difficult fighter. He's not the best. I will give him that. He's not the best fighter, but why are we rushing him into this? Like, we can put him against some of these unranked guys. It's not like he's taking Jimmy Flick on 2 weeks' notice. He's taking on Asu Almabayev. Asu's going to be determined to win at all costs. He just got eye-poked like 17 times against Manel Kape in his last fight and lost a main event. And now he's being banished down to the fight night prelims. So you better believe he's looking at Jose Ochoa and just wanting to take his head off. So why is Jose Ochoa's team doing this to him? Like, do they not learn from Felipe dos Santos, who is repeatedly taking hard fights like Jose Ochoa is? And he got cut very recently for it. Even though there were close fights that he had and he performed really well, he still got cut for it. And Ochoa can have the same feat if he just keeps taking these fights. He had Lona Kavanagh. He took an easy fight against Cody Durden, looked fantastic. And now he's taking a short notice fight against Almabayev when he's literally 24 years old. It makes no sense. Like, if this was the lightweight division where there's a massive logjam to get into the rankings, I get it. Like, maybe you have to fight 7 fights to get in the rankings, like for SZM. But come on, you can literally fight one more time and you'll be in the rankings. Or your next fight, if you wait for long enough, will be in the rankings. I don't know, it just annoys me. Like, I hate seeing these guys with repeatedly, like, good teams just make terrible decisions one after the other. I'll probably be picking Asu Almabayev, even though on a full camp I pick Jose Ochoa. Like, it just makes no sense. You're at a good point in your career. You're getting a little bit of hype. Slow your roll. You don't need to do this. So, I'm pissed off at his team, but the fight itself is going to be absolute barn burner, and it'll be on the prelims. Moving on to some of the MMA news of this MMA segment of this video, we've got some news on Ramzan Temirov, who was the guy that was supposed to fight Asu Almabayev. He got done for steroids, which looks terrible because he gassed out bad in the third round against Charles Johnson. Didn't even look that good in the second round against Charles Johnson. He also said he popped due to taking some staph treatment, but so many guys get staph and I never hear about them taking something that makes them pop. So, not really convinced about that. I think it's a pretty bad look. if he's got a 6-month suspension, I actually hope they remove him from the rankings and just rank the winner of Johnson versus Lona Kavanagh. Because I just don't think he's all that. And especially if he's pulling out due to steroids already, we could be having a bad situation where it's like the Hamdi Abdul Wahab situation where he looks like a world beater in his first fight, then pops and looks like shit for the next 3 fights. So I think they should remove him from the rankings if he's got 6 months out. I don't like that. I think it's a bad look for him. But moving on to the next piece of news, we have Charles Oliveira making some terrible decisions. He wants to return in November or December, which is just the worst thing that you can ever hear if you're a Charles Oliveira fan. You'd think he learnt from Volk's massive mistake that getting KO'd and then fighting 3 months later causes you to fight terribly and get KO'd again. But hey, Charles decides not to listen to that, but it just makes no sense. Like, Charles would have made millions fighting against Topuria, and his earning potential, although it's dropped a little bit off that loss, his stock's dropped a little bit, not much, but his earning potential, if he gets slimed out in his next fight, is really diminished. Like, it's not like he's just this one of these guys that are going to drop low down in the rankings. Like, it just makes no sense. You can take a couple of months off. You'll always be ahead of Poirier and Gaethje. That your wins over them don't disappear. Take 9 months. Take a year. Who gives a fuck? Like, we need to see Charles Oliveira take time after this. He gets hit in all of his fights. If he just gets slept out cold every fight, it's just going to be another Chuck Liddell situation. It's painful to see from these fighters, because you can understand it from some of them that are like, damn, I've been out for 18 months for injury and I just got slept out cold and now I got to pay bills in 2 months. But Olivera is a millionaire fan favorite. Like, you can take time off, do some appearances for a few $1,000s, and you know how bad turnarounds are like this. You know, your team knows this. Like, it can be life-altering. Surely your friends and family are, like, chaining you to the bed and forcing you to not have contact and head contact for the next few months. Like, if he takes a fight in November, you're not even doing the 90-day basic concussion protocol, which at this point is, like, 20 years outdated. Like, come on, he's got slept out cold for minutes and then took 2 brutal juices on the lips after that. Like, take the concussion protocols properly, and even then, that's like the bare minimum. You take the concussion protocol if you're like broke and you need a fight. If you're not broke and you don't need a fight, you take 12 months. Manny Pacquiao did it best. Like, I don't get what these guys are doing. You're just screwing your future with this. And let me show you who he wants to fight against, who he's calling out at this time to fight in November in 3 to 4 months. Max Holloway. I'm so annoyed by this. Like, surely you can fight, if you fought Dariush or Gamrot, I'd slightly understand that. Like, I could see, oh, hey, he's just going to grapple with you for 3 straight rounds. So, I can kind of get that. Like, I can respect it. You can make that decision, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense to come back this quickly, but it's against Gamrot. Like, it's not like Gamrot's going to knock him out, but you want to come back against Max Holloway. Like, if you remember, if we're talking about CTE, like, I think a rematch with a power puncher or a grappler is 10 times better than one of these guys who will volume punch TKO you. If you think of the guys that have the worst CTE, like the CTE that presents the most, it's not the guys like Overeem who got KO'd 20 times throughout his career. He would just go like straight out cold. And nowadays, if you hear him speak, he's actually very fluent, sounds pretty good. His CTE doesn't seem that bad, but then it's the guys that got into like, the guys that have historically good chins that would get into wars like a Tony Ferguson or a Nam Pham, they're the ones that get CTE. So you're putting yourself up against a fighter in Max Holloway who's not going to just sleep you out cold. He'll beat the shit out of you for 3 rounds, punching your head about 100 times, just destroying the neuroplasticity in your brain completely 200 times in your fight with him. Like, what's that decision making? Surely your coach is like, oh, we want to call out a grappler. We want to call out someone who's going to be not as difficult. Be like, oh, I've seen Gamrot being ducked by Benoit Saint Denis recently. I think he's a really good fighter. He's not had some big names. I want to fight Gamrot. And everyone would be like, say less. Take my money. Fight Gamrot. And we would all not care. We would all be pretty happy with that. No one would even bat an eye. But say you're going to fight Max Holloway, it's like, bro, just tell me you want to get slept out cold. Tell me you want to ruin your career, because that's what you're saying right now. I'll stop ranting about that just to jump on another rant and talk about the UFC going to Qatar. Why are we going to Middle East 4 times a year? There's not even a Middle Eastern fighter on the roster. Who's main eventing this stuff? Like, are we going to get, like, another Australian main event on this? Like, why is Whittaker versus Dorita main eventing? Like, I get it, they pay a lot of money, and I don't mind it. Like, I wouldn't mind us going to Qatar if we stopped going to the Apex. That's the truth. If Albazi versus Temirov was headlined in Japan, I would not give a shit that we were going to Qatar. That's the truth. Like, I don't really, like, it really doesn't bother me that we keep going back to Qatar, even though they don't have any fighters from there. But it bothers me when we're going to the Apex 10 times a year and not going to Czech Republic, not going to Japan, not going to New Zealand, not going to Nigeria. Like, what is this? Like, no one actually cares. This isn't an announcement that anyone really gives a shit about. Like, it just annoys me, and I wish that we had some events at new places where fighters are from. Like, Azerbaijan was a great idea this year. Czech Republic would be a fantastic event. Japan. Go to Japan. Come on, like, I'm not going to rant about this too much. I did a lot of ranting on X about it, but come on, UFC. We can do better than this, but that's it for all of the UFC fight announcements and any news that has happened over the last week. Let me know what you think of these fights in the comments section below. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Peace. I've lost my mouse. Peace. Bye. Leave.